I'm Larry Sarkus. I'm from Tempe, Arizona. I have been in real estate for somewhere around 60 years. Okay, 1031 exchange is an exchange of like-kind property. Okay, and that is basically what we do. So,
Well, what's the difference between that and conventional brokerage?
Conventionally buy-sell, which you're referring to, buy-sell is simply you are buying and selling a property, and if you're talking about an income-producing property, you're buying and selling the property, and you're paying the government. Let me give you the example I always give because I have my own real estate school. I've written real estate courses. I've written 2 books on real estate exchanging and formulas for real estate. So let me give you an idea of how I put it in there. Let's say you have $1 million property. You bought the property originally for $1 million, and you turn around and you sell it for $1 million. You shouldn't have a tax consequence if you did it in a very short time. But if you had the property over a long time where you had a lot of depreciation taken out of the property, you get your basis of the property of what you're really in the property after everything down to just about nothing. Now you decide, I want to sell this property. You sell the property for $1 million. You end up putting $1 million in your pocket. If you're like me, you're in the 38% bracket, you end up giving the government $380,000 of your $1 million. If you do an exchange, you can exchange the property for $1 million for what you want of another property for $1 million. Let's say you have apartments, but right now you're tired of apartments, you would rather have a motel. So we did the exchange, there's no tax whatsoever, which means you have your full value of $1 million. Where if you sold it, you've given the government $380,000 of your money. That's why people who do exchanging become richer so much quicker than people who do not do exchanging, because they're working for the government. When you do an exchange, you're working for yourself. So you need to find somebody that can do an exchange for you, that knows the laws, knows how they work, and knows how to put more money in your pocket, because that's what it all boils down to. I work with very, very, very few clients, mostly people who are referred to me, because I prefer to do the deals for myself. That way I can make millions of dollars.
Other than tax deferment, are there any other benefits to exchanging?
Well, basically, sometimes you have a property that just is a property you can't sell. You've had it on the market for 3 years, because when I get a client, they generally have their property averagely 2.5 years on the market with 3 different people, and they haven't got a single offer on it. Then they come and talk to me. And then I sit there and tell them that we can do this, this, and this, if they will do this, this, and this. If they agree to doing what they have to do to make the property go away, then we're able to do same.
Do you think that there's more creativity involved?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You have to have an open mind. If you are a buyer and seller and that's all you are and that's all you will be, don't bother an exchanger. He will come up with ideas and thoughts and ways. You don't have to just trade your property for another property. You could go into an exchange where you're the first leg of the exchange. You see a property you want, it's a second leg, but he doesn't want your property. Then what we'll do is we'll turn around and we'll lock up the property saying, hey, why don't your broker and myself go out and see if we can find a third leg. I'm the first leg, you're the second leg, we need a third leg. The most I've ever done is 5 legs across the country. Back in the old days, hate to say that because, I'm old. But back in the old days, you used to have to close all the properties at the same time, which is if you have a property in New York and you have a property in California, really tough to do. So you have to calculate all your times to where everybody is closing at X period of time. And like I said, I did a 5-legged trade that went across the country. I had a friend, may he rest in peace, he did an 11-leg exchange across the country. And I think that's what gave him his gray hair and bald head, because boy, that was a trick. Not only do you have to close all at the same time, you have to keep 11 different people happy. And boy, that is not what I call an easy thing to do. So again, you don't have to just look to trade your property for another property. We can look to trade your property for the property you want, and then find the property the other guy wants, and so on and so forth until everybody is happy and everybody makes a fee for doing their job.
So in a way, it's kind of like matchmaking.
Yes, it definitely is.
But circular more than linear.
Yes, definitely is.
Okay.
Definitely is.
Do you feel like there's more teamwork or camaraderie in the exchanging versus normal real estate?
Yes. When I first started in the business, I had no idea how well other exchangers treated me. I remember I had a deal where I was trading for a property in Indiana. And this was when I was first in the business back in 1980. All right? Because you asked me when I started doing business. Well, without a license, finally in 1980 I got a license. So basically I called up one of our exchangers that I'd met at a national meeting and said, hey, can't remember his name, let's say I said, hey John, I'm looking at a property at blah, 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 blah. Okay, could you possibly go out and take a look at it for me? And I think this was like Tuesday or Wednesday of the week. And he said, well, Larry, I'd be happy to do that for you, but I can't really do it until the weekend. And I said, my God, what's going to take you so long? He says, the property's 2.5 hours from where I am. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll wait till the weekend. So basically, that's how exchangers work. Also, you could call up an exchanger and he could tell you that place has a blue door, a green window, and an orange roof. You go look at that property, it would have that. Okay? That's what it was. It was honesty of values. We would look at a property and say, hey, if you don't like the value of my property, I'll get an appraisal for you. You can pick the appraiser, matter of fact. And I'll pay for it. We'll get a real live value. But if we're going to do that, because people used to be under the idea that exchangers balloon out the price, to make it more money. And I'd say, well, if you're going to get an appraisal on my property, I'm going to get an appraisal on yours. Then we'll trade appraisal for appraisal. Oh, that's great. Very easy to solve. Nobody has an argument. Each person picked the appraiser for the other person. It's not like somebody used their cousin or something. So very, 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 very nicely done, easily done.
Is it nice being able to do deals in different states?
I've owned properties from Boston to Hawaii. Yes, fantastic. Just to give you an idea, 75% of those properties, I never seen them.
Wow.
I would just call Joe Blow and say, hey, look at this for me. Tell me, is it worth $200,000? And he'd look at it and say, well, the market's somewhere between 109 and 210. I say, okay, it's worth 200,000. It's rented and everything. Yep, there's people there and blah, 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 And I would just go by that. So then I didn't have to fly to Indiana. I didn't have to fly to Georgia, wherever, I could just literally go by that. And like I said, it made me a fortune throughout my life.
What kind of brokers or personality types are attracted to exchanging?
Basically, you're looking at, I find generally it's brokers who are go-getters. You have to make a deal happen. Because like I said, most of your clients had their place on the market a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, okay? I mean, I'd have people come to me and I say, oh, is your property listed? Well, yeah, it's listed for 2 more months with Joe Blow. Okay, I'm not even gonna talk to you. I know we can make your property go away. Talk to Joe Blow. If you can fire Joe Blow, fine, I'll talk to you. I'll take a listing or whatever after we talk and I decide whether I want to take your listing. It's not up to the client for me to take their listing. It's up to me to take their listing because we do a lot of work as an exchanger versus putting something in the MLS and hope that somebody will come and buy it. I mean,
So-
that's a big day for a normal realtor. I'm not even on the MLS. The first company I bought when I first got into the business before I was a broker, I went into the company, I bought a third of the company, they were on the MLS. And after a year and a half of that, I said, hey, this is a waste of time. Let's get out of the MLS and, we don't need them. We're exchangers. So basically, like I said, I don't even put a property on the MLS.
Is exchanging harder than conventional brokerage?
Well, it's harder in the fact of you want to sell your property for $100,000, you want to sell your condo. And I come to you and say, here you are, here's $100,000, I got a check for $100,000. Will you sign here, we'll go into escrow. Okay. Wow, that's tough. I mean, that will keep you up at night. In an exchange, I have to make what you want to do happen. You haven't been able to do what you want to do with the property, you don't want to pay taxes on it, okay? So I have to come in with, gee, what did you want? Well, I'd like a little convenience market. Use my $100,000 property as a down payment. Okay, we can do that. Or I'd like to have a shoe store, or I'd like to have getting the idea? So I have to find what you want. Or I have to find what you want, even if they don't want what you have, then we'll go out and find them what they want. So yeah, there's quite a bit involved in it, but I charge accordingly to what is involved. I'm one of the few exchangers you will find that from day one when I got into exchanging, I charged people to take their listing. Right now, to take a listing, I would charge somebody $5,000. That's just to take their listing. When I move their property, make it go away, make them happy, then they pay me my fee. I work on a flat fee. We do not work on I do not work on a percentage commission type fee. Would you like an explanation of that?
Sure.
Okay. A normal realtor works on, let's say, 7%. Okay? So the realtor is trying to sell his property for $1 million. And if I think I correctly do this in my head, he gets a fee of what, $70,000? And if he's selling it, he's splitting it with somebody else, so he's only gonna get $35,000. But let's say he does a deal with me on an exchange. He has a 7% commission. His person has apartments. His people would rather have mini storage. I have a guy that has mini storages, $1 million worth, and his apartments are $1 million. We're making this easy, okay? So basically, they're exchanging his million for that million, so everybody's happy, no taxes, blah, blah, blah. So your fee is $70,000, correct? 7%. My fee's a flat fee, okay? I'm charging my people a flat fee, and I figured, hey, a fair fee for doing this would probably be, I'm gonna use the same number so I'll make it easy for people to understand. I'm getting $70,000. I got $5,000 to take his listing, I'm getting $70,000 when we close a transaction on an exchange form. Flat fee, not a percentage, flat fee. Now, here's what happens, because I have seen it happen, okay? The other broker, they call them up and say, hey, we're gonna close Friday. Oh, it's my wife's anniversary, we're leaving Thursday and we're going to Las Vegas, we won't be back until Monday. Well, that's okay. Everything's signed. We don't have a lot to do here. We'll just go ahead and close it for you if you want. Oh, okay. Well, I happen to be out of town too. So the title company, which I never am, but I'm just saying this, okay? But so the title company handles the close. Well, they bring in Joe, who's got that property, and they bring in Bob, who has that property. Well, Joe and Bob are sitting out in the office waiting, in the waiting room waiting, because you never really get to go in anywhere. You generally go and you got to wait 15, 20 minutes, half hour, depending on what the people are doing. So they're sitting there and they get talking. And they find out something. And the thing is, they find out that what they're in the property and what their accountant told them, and they look at one another and they says, if I was to trade my property to you, this is all legal. If I was to trade my property to you at a value of $600,000, it would work so much better for me in my structure for future taxes. And the other guy says, my accountant told me the same thing. And so they both decide, sitting there, that they're going to change that figure from $1 million on each property to $600,000. They go ahead and write up the contract, close the deal. Now Monday comes around, and I go down to the title company, and the title company says, "Here, Larry, here's your check for $70,000. Now you go down to the title company, and she says, "Here's your check for $42,000. And you say, "Well, wait a minute. Wasn't there enough money in closing to pay me? I mean, I thought I was going to get paid cash for this $70,000, which is 7%. What's the problem here? I mean, are they giving me a note back for the difference, or what are we doing?" And she says, "Well, no, you have a 7% commission, and the sale price on your property is $600,000, which is $42,000. So I made $75,000 on my deal, and you made $42,000 on yours." So you see why we never use a percentage. Some of you new people do because they don't know any better. They haven't been taught any better. I was taught. Okay? So that's how that particular situation works out.
All right, now I really only have one more question. It's a quick one.
One more question.
Do you like your job?
Oh, I love my job. Actually, back in '63, I actually worked. I worked for 8 hours on an assembly line and swore that I would never work again. Knock on wood. Hope I didn't knock too loud. Knock on wood, I haven't had to. Okay? Exchanging is fun. Good group of people around the country that you can work with. And the biggest deal for me is to make a client happy. It's not the fee that's involved, okay? It's making the client happy. That's the most important thing. When somebody comes to you on a Friday, because they've been referred to me, they come to me on Friday and they say, Tuesday, my property is going into foreclosure. They're going to sell it on Tuesday. It's in foreclosure. Sorry, they're going to sell it Tuesday. It's going to sale. So I say, hey, here's what you need to do. If you're going to hire me, write me a check, and then I'll tell you how we'll get the foreclosure out of the way. Give us 4 to 6 months to get rid of your property. And I do that for them. Again, that's why they're paying me the big money, because I get it handled. I can honestly say since 1980, I have not had a single client come to me that I did not solve their problem. So I'm a problem solver. That's what I do.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate it. Thanks,
That's all
Larry.
right. Did we get that on film?
Yeah, there's the shake. The shake.